Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, do I hear a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, those in favor?
Aye.
Do I hear a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
I move we adopt the consent agenda.
Second.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Let me make sure I got the right one. All right, we'll move on down to guest speakers, communications, informational items. Outback Strong summer lunch program. Everybody here with?
I don't believe there is. She just came in to talk to me, and then I put the flyer in to let you know, and they had asked that this year that possibly they would use the pool park.
They're going to use the pool park. So
They
they will have
also-
two sides?
Yes,
Okay.
because they feel it's better for the older children or teenagers to go up to the
Yeah.
pool park. And, you know, yeah.
And then also on our book, we have an agenda and minute planning commission.
It's just the information.
And the Alger Theater Project.
Is that last night?
Yes.
The planning commission?
No, that was for
There-
before.
But that was for the last time.
She's in,
There was a meeting last night.
Okay, but yeah.
And I don't know if you normally have gotten those, I don't think so in the past, but that'd be a better one. Council kind of knows what's going on with the planning commission, you know, stuff like that.
we'll move on to public comment. Anybody have any public comments? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Jan Wright. I live at 31 South I Street. Cape Town is the first city in the world to run out of water. Water is our most precious and priceless resource. And water is life. And I was reading in the paper that the proposed plan is to add more chemicals to the water and to waste more water. I don't know, do we lack the courage to tackle the whole thing about infrastructure? You know, Clerva, you said it best at a few meetings back about how we all need to pony up. You know, she lives out of town, is willing to have her property taxes increased. We are the solution. I mean, we are. And we can't lack the courage to go after that. We need a new delivery system. So let's do it. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, let's move over to department reports. Scott Utley.
Well, 911 is, we have 8 technicians over there now. We have CenturyLink, Quest, West, Intrado, and some other ones I haven't heard of getting our new system installed. We've had some hiccups. Tomorrow we'll have a meeting to see if we do a go or no-go for the cutover. It'll be Thursday morning at 5 o'clock. And if everything goes right, we will cut over then. But we've already started training with our Entrado on our telephone system, the GUI interface and the screen and all that stuff. And so 99% of the staff is all trained on that. And then Friday, we have training on our Airbus map solution that pulls up the maps and shows us where the calls come from. So we're making headway, and there hasn't been any big
Don't say it.
issues come
Don't
up,
say it.
except they did need a part, and they said it's going to be flown in from Toronto overnight. Yeah, that was a giggle. It's like there's nothing overnight unless you land at Lakeview Airport. So we'll have a meeting tomorrow afternoon to see if we do a no-go or a go.
So when you say you'll know where the calls are, area where the calls are coming from, is that cell and landlines then?
Of course, copper's always the best because we know where the copper telephone lines are coming from. Cellular, we can still be a block or so off because it's triangulated between cell towers.
Yeah,
And
those
when you only
towers.
have 2 cell towers or 8 cell towers in 8,000 square miles, it's pretty hard to triangulate until cell phones eventually go to satellite GPS. So we do our best, but
But
don't
it'd
call
be an improvement.
911 and expect us to find you on a cell phone unless you're able to tell us where you're at.
Sounds like you've went through a pretty good transition there, Scotty. Good luck.
Well, it's and we have 8 different propeller heads over there talking language that I don't understand. And the only big hiccup now is we were supposed to have some dedicated trunk lines coming in, at least for the Entrado that provides the machine called the Viper, so that the techs in Montreal can access it, but because of firewalls and everybody's sort of guarding their own equipment, we're trying to work through that. So we'll get there.
Hi,
Yeah, thanks, Doug.
excuse me,
Fire, Dennis,
Yeah.
here.
I have a question about that. On I-40 between Adel and Denio, there's no service, right?
Correct.
What if you're in trouble on that stretch?
You wait till someone finds you.
Oh, God.
I mean, with
Don't go.
the cellular phone, I mean, it's getting to the point now that you come to the Oregon Outback.
Okay,
You better pack your own first aid kit,
right.
because if you're in a car accident, it's going to be, depending on where you are, 20 to 30 minutes before the ambulance even gets on the highway. So, and those are some of the things that we choose living in the Outback,
Sure.
that there's sporadic cell phones. And what did we do before cell phones? We stopped at a ranch or said,
That's right.
stop at the next ranch and call the fire department or the 911.
Right.
And so that's most of it. And even your OnStar in your Chevrolet vehicles are all cellular based. They've dropped the satellite. So
Oh,
in your OnStar vehicles, if you press that, it's going to hit cell towers and not satellite. So you're going to have sporadic communications as well.
Okay. Fire, Dennis is not here, police, and Chairman Chief Ray is not here, Public Works, Jeff.
About the only thing I had that's not in my report there is we're doing some work on our new well, trying to make some progress on that. Roberta and myself and Daryl made arrangements a month or so ago, have a company come and put a TV camera down in the well while the pump is pumping. So they sent us a test camera, and we tried to put it in there and it got stuck. So we had to pull the original pump out, put a smaller pump in, and they should be here tomorrow to do the TV camera on that while it's running, see if we can figure out where all the sand is coming from. And then also while they're here, we're going to do an assessment of the re-injection well for the Berry geothermal system, figure out why it's not taking as much water as it used to. And so then we can figure out, hopefully, a repair for both situations. So they're supposed to be here tomorrow at 8:15. So get some progress on that.
Okay. Engineer Daryl's not here. Town manager Roberta.
I'll receive my report.
Yeah. Okay, any old business? Hearing none. New business, Janine Cannon.
Thank you. In your package, you should have a letter from the Department, Oregon Department of Energy advising the council of the Blue Marmot Solar Energy Project. The purpose of the letter is a notice of intent that this group plans to file an application at some point in the future for a solar facility in Goose Lake Valley. The map is attached, and if you look at that, and the letter also points it out, that the solar array sites that are proposed at this time are in Goose Lake Valley, but outside of the town limits. The only part of the project that would cross into town limits are transmission lines. So, however, because it does affect both the town and the county, the Energy Facility Siting Council is the organization responsible for a site certificate for the project. Their permitting process allows the town and the county to participate in their process as special advisory groups. And Oregon Department of Energy was down here last Tuesday, and did make a presentation to the county commissioners to explain what that entailed. And basically, they're asking you to participate in the process, that any land use requirements that would be required of the town or county will be incorporated into their process. So along that line, you have been designated as a special advisory group. And the first piece of business is to provide them with what land use regulations, excuse me, that would apply to this project. And they offer to either have direct contact from you, or to have staff on your behalf report back to them. And that first response is due this Friday, March 16th. Excuse me. This is a long process. It'll go on for a while. Sorry. Potentially there will be an application at that time. There will be an opportunity to review the application and provide additional information, and then subsequently at some point in the future, there would be a public hearing and responding to a proposed order to actually issue a site certificate. Darwin was at the meeting. I think he was wearing two hats at the time. As the county planner as well as the county counselor. And so my purpose here is to just bring you, advise you of the project, and if I would be happy to respond to DOE if that's your wishes on your behalf of the requested information. And I can answer any questions you might have, or information.
Janine, you said the only guess the difference in Lakeview is just transmission lines to the community.
At this point in time.
Okay. So none of the solar array builds are
Even
within the community.
the colored map that
Yeah.
you have shows the proposed locations at this time.
So really, the only thing the town needs to comment on right now is strictly the transmission line.
That's correct.
That's all that we have to do.
And of course, those would be, as, if looking at the map, those would be existing transmission lines and right-of-ways.
It wouldn't
So they're
involve any new construction of the utility lines then?
not as defined.
But we need to ask you to respond by Friday
Yes.
to say, yes, we want to be on the advisory board, right?
Well,
Or
actually,
something.
you don't have a choice, you are already
Yeah,
designated.
you are.
You are.
But you need to tell them that, oh yeah, because otherwise we're back in our mushroom position.
We're just providing them with the criteria that is applicable to this process.
So we really just need to let them know that we don't mind that they
Proceed forward.
proceed with the transmission lines in town, or don't want them to, so.
Well,
That'll happen
at
along
least
the way.
at least the criteria that, yes.
But there is,
You don't have to take a position at this time.
and
Oh.
there
Because
will
there's
be no
not enough.
position as for the planning and zoning either, because there is nothing to be decided.
Correct. Not at, yeah.
So what do you have to let them know by Friday?
I'm sure that Daryl and Little had much more information to share because actually because of the solar array, you might want to talk to Darren.
Yeah, so,
There is a conditional use permit process.
so last Tuesday, the Board of Commissioners held a meeting with Golden Department of Energy to have just kind of an informational meeting that later that night up at the North Lake School, there's two projects going on, so they also held another meeting, which I attended. The comments have gone out to all adjacent owners, of which, because of, the town and some of these right-of-ways that we'll talk about, the transmissions proposed to be potentially in these areas within the urban growth boundary and also potentially on town roads. So the comments that the county are providing are if this was to go through our process, what would the criteria be? And so in this case, since none of the solar arrays themselves are in the town, the comments that we could prepare or Janine could prepare on our behalf would be more in the lines of if transmission were to go down these city streets, what criteria would this company have to abide by? And is there an application? If so, what's the criteria? Those are the kind of comments that we serve. So I'm submitting on behalf of the county for the comments for the Blue Marmot project. Comment period ended last week. I've got draft comments to for the Obsidian Solar Center ordinance in the North Lake area, Christmas Valley area. So it's definitely a long process, like Janine said. It's quick. This is only the second and third projects in the state that the state's reviewed at the FSEC, which is the Energy Facility Siting Council level. And the local control, where some appears to some is lost, it's not really lost. It's just that we provide comments to them as their review agency on this. And they bring everybody together, and there's many eyes on it. So don't think that that's not, it's just the state's going to handle it. They're not going to really participate well with us. They will participate, and there will be public meetings. So this is just the first comment step. But as Janine also said, this is their notice of intent's been filed, and a comment period for the notice of intent. After that, they plan to have applications into the state for the site certificate. And at that point, then they will use all the comments that we give them now to build their application and make sure they meet all the criteria that's addressed by the criteria that we send them now. So it can obviously be amended if we've missed stuff along the way. We'll continue to add more comments. But any of us can comment individually, same as the Board of Commissioners or myself. As a special advisory group, we are the try to submit comments in a timely manner, which is, deadline's fast approaching for this, but there's probably not a whole lot to, I'm not around a whole lot, but there's probably not a whole lot that we, as a town, would need to submit. Typically, in a right of way, we're gonna allow transmission to go in there, most of the time, I recommend it, but maybe some agreement needs to be in place. Some things that have to be considered, but.
Is there any possible revenue stream from that?
No economic benefit to the town at all, so it's hard to comment on something like that is not going to bring something to the community other than economic development in the area, and that's going to benefit the whole county and region, so.
And the environment.
Yeah, economic as in a lease payment, like franchise fees, things like that, I do not believe that's the case with our utility, so I don't think there's any
Can't charge
financial,
the
just
sun tax.
And
transmission.
that transmission line's taking it to California, it's not going to be used here. That's the grid and the way that it works. The electricity that's produced here is not used here. It travels south to California and enters the grid system.
Darwin did make a
I'm not
good,
gonna comment on that.
Darwin did make a good point that adjacent property owners were notified. The county courthouse meeting room was full last Tuesday, and I think it was unfortunate that the purpose of the meeting was to advise the county commissioners and the council of their role in the special advisory group process. And I know that they stayed later to answer questions from the public. So it is important that you may get comments from people about the project.
So
There is some interest.
last two comments I'll make is, one, thankfully the video was there, and so they videoed that meeting, and I would encourage you, if you want more information, go watch it, or go directly to the state website. You can simply Google EFSC, FSEC, and you will easily get linked to the Oregon website, in which the application and all documentation is there, and how to comment and all this kind of stuff is there. So, it's not being reviewed by my office in the sense that I'm collecting the comments. They have to go to the state. So, and neither would the town. The town don't let people send you the comments, send them to the state.
I would think that it would be proper for Janine or Roberta, the town administration, to give the state the fact that we have nothing. There is no planning and zoning issues, so just.
Thank you.
Any other comment? Okay, let's move on to request from Lake County Chamber for OLCC off-street premises for Irish Days.
So, it's kind of complicated. A lady from Bly has requested to sell beer and alcohol and wine at the Irish Days Festival. And I wish I could hand you her thing from Kent, but she is faxing it to Dawn, and I don't have it in my hand at the moment. So Dawn should have it by tomorrow morning. She knows the rules on roping off the area, no one drinking outside of it, the whole 9 yards, and it'll be by the courthouse lawn. And then I have another thing, if you have questions on that first, I'll let you know.
Have you granted her permission, or are you
I
asking us to?
have told her that I have to wait for, because the town has to sign off on that because it's in city limits. But she has OLCC approval. I've seen the form, just a picture of it, not the actual form. So Dawn took over contacting her today, and so she's supposed to get it to Dawn. And I have not given her permission to set up, no.
And she's setting up on the courthouse lawn?
Well, the street that's closed by the courthouse lawn.
Be Center Street or First?
So it would be, the first road closure I had asked for was center between the courthouse and Honker Realty. But I'm also here today to ask for Center Street farther up closed and behind the jail as long as we leave the opening for the police department to get to and from booking and releasing people.
Would she be selling anything else besides alcohol?
No, but the reason I'm asking for the road closure is because I have 46 booths for Irish Days.
Wow.
And I don't have enough room with the one road closure I had asked for previously. And then Baby Buttes, BLM Wild Horses want to bring in horses, and so that's why I'm asking for the road closure, because we don't want the
They are
horses.
bringing their own,
They're bringing their
fencing.
own arena, they're bringing everything, there'll be people guarding the horses so nobody gets hurt. I've asked every question probably under the sun to poor Larissa Laverdis. So she wants to be up by Umpqua Bank back there, and nobody else will be up there by her, so the horses will not be disturbed by anything. So that's why the road closure goes up that street, all the way up Center Street.
Do you know what hour she's planning on being there?
She will be there from as soon as the parade ends till 3 o'clock. So like noon-ish to 3. And that's only if the horses don't get upset, and if they get upset, they have to pull them out early. It's really complicated. It's a serious process.
So what you're actually asking for is
An
the road
extension
closure,
road
street
closure
closures.
and the OLCC approval if she comes through with her paperwork.
As long as the OLCC signs off, I thought there was a home rule to where we only had jurisdiction and could have licensees within the community have dispenser license outside there.
Well,
But if the OLCC is open to that, I have no problem with it. But I just think we should check with them, or if they're signing off on it, I guess it's not our problem, but
I will check with that. 'Cause
that's another community,
I-
incorporated communities business, liquor license.
we've had them before, but not from out of town, is
Yeah.
that correct?
Right.
Yeah,
We've had them from out of
Yeah,
town
they've been
before.
from
When
out
we
of
did the
town.
wine and beer festival a few years ago, we had folks from outside the community.
These
Yeah,
guys
that's a
travel
little
all
different,
over.
yeah.
So she does like the Eagles Lodge does. You can rent them for parties or whatever. She just heard about Irish Days and how much hype it was getting, and she thought it would be beneficial for her. And she'll just be here from 10 to 2. She's not staying for pub crawl, she's not staying for any of that. She's just here
Okay,
to,
I mean, we don't want to take,
it won't affect the
money
other.
away from any of our local
Yes.
bars.
I don't think that's an issue by any means. She will be gone before pub crawl starts. She's just kind of a add-on to all of the vendors and activities that are taking place in town.
40-some vendors?
Yeah. Apparently Herald and News got a hold of Irish Days and people just kept calling. So,
Do they know what the weather's going to be like over the weekend?
we also have approval for ginormous tents on the courthouse lawn, so everyone will be covered. So, I mean, we are covering everyone this year. But yeah, Kurt wrote a story and then people started calling and I ran out of road. So that's why.
from what I read, there's 3 to 5 inches of snow.
Wouldn't be Irish Days without it being cold.
That's right.
So,
Bring your shovel.
yeah.
Do we have any comments from Terry Loft or any of the?
I spoke with Terry and he told me just to talk to you guys and then come to him and tell him what he's doing. It's kind of, because he's going to be uptown anyways. The cops are actually going to give away free bike helmets for an hour. So his officers will actually be up there for that part of it.
Well, at this point, we can't ask you to cram that many people into that smaller area, especially with horses, that we don't want them to get nervous.
And the road that's right behind the courthouse actually won't be used until 3 o'clock. It's where the outhouse race is going to take place. Luann Anderson liked it so much last year, she requested that road again. So that one will just be closed right before, probably an hour or two before we'll ask the dealers to move their cars, just like we did last year.
I urge you to make sure you've got good barriers up and good signage.
We have.
You've checked with the sheriff's department as well?
Yes, I spoke with Mike Taylor and I've also spoke with the state cops as well.
So if someone wanted to go up Bullard Canyon, how do they go?
They're gonna go up by the chamber around and go that way.
Okay, because your drawing here has it blocking that intersection, but.
No, well, it'll be like right
Okay.
before, so you'll be able to go around the chamber now.
Okay.
It'll be right there. They just want enough room for the horses, because my main concern was they're not.
Are they having a herd or just?
Are they cleaning up after?
They are cleaning up after themselves. I also asked that as well. They are cleaning up after themselves. And Catlin and his grandfather will also be there, and they are the trainers, so there will be people that know how to calm the horses.
I don't see a problem. You've got our officers and you need the space, obviously. Do we need a motion or just to go right ahead, good job?
Consensus?
I just think we should approve it, extend it, and the OLCC license until we at least get it and our town manager can review it.
Which I'm gonna email Dawn the one that I got a copy of that she sent me, and Kurt's signature is on there, and I know that because I worked with him through the Elks, so I know him, so his signature is actually already on there, just the town's is not.
Yeah.
So that's why we're trying to get an actual copy.
Do you want to state it as a motion?
Do we need to do a motion?
Consensus.
Consensus?
Consensus says.
Aye.
Okay,
Yep.
next on the agenda is bike rack design.
Okay, I am Shelley Batty, as if you didn't know that, and I'm here today on behalf of the Outback Pedal Posse. And we believe, as a bicycling organization in Lakeview, and as part of the Lakeview community, that one of the things Lakeview lacks are bike racks. And that bike infrastructure is something that's part of the city charter, that the city should be interested in doing if people from the community come forward and give you good ideas with good designs that will add to the community. And so, in the next month or so, Outback Pedal Posse will be coming to you to make that ask. In the meantime, we wanted to make sure that all of our ducks were in a row, and that we had the buy-in of the rest of the community that bike racks and bike infrastructure and bike tourism was something that everybody was really interested in, and it wasn't just a pipe dream. So we are having a contest, $100 cash to the person in the community who designs the iconic Lakeview bike rack. I have samples of other bike racks in other communities that have done this very, very successfully, and I have the design rack contest form. Anyone from, pick up a crayon to whoever, whether they ride a bike or not, if they have a design, an idea for a design for Lakeview, we're asking that they write it down, give us their contact information, and turn it in at the bike shop next door. And I'm also available to answer questions since you have all this information in your packets, and I'm your ready resource.
Sounds like a
Sounds like a
good
good
idea.
idea, yeah, I like it.
Are you taking these to the schools? Or making them available at the offices? or
We have
something?
been trying to let the schools know. I've not gotten calls back from them to find out what that procedure is. We will also have a booth at Irish Days, passing these out hither and yon amongst the community.
Mr. Walker at the high school, I think it would be a good idea to give
Okay.
him some. He's got lots of kids that could, might just go with this.
Awesome. And $100 cash, they could come up with all kinds of good things to spend that on.
And one of the requests from the committee was that, when the town puts away 1% of our transportation dollars for the bike head program, we're required to do that, and to use some of that funding to order and, get these built, so we do have some, like 10 or something, bike racks. That would give me about 10.
Yeah.
We've got money sitting there, we have about 20,000 or something.
And we're also asking for if there are like metal workers or people in the community that want to be involved in this. I have a contact that's a big corporate sponsor type person who can build these for us for a reasonable cost, but if we had someone local who could build them and make this a truly local project, that would be a really cool thing. The other part of that, my brain is not completely brain, I don't remember what else I was going to say. You got the point.
I'm so glad that people do that.
It's like, middle of the sentence, it's gone. Anyway, so if there are local people that want to be involved in that, that would be something we'd be really interested in looking at and interested in talking to. And what I forgot was that since we started announcing this on the radio, The bike shop has already gotten phone calls from businesses in the community that are interested in having bike racks sited in front of their building. So we know the community is, the businesses in the community are interested already.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
I know at one time, like our ag kids, the
And well,
FFA kids, the ag kids, do woodworking and also metal stuff. That might be an avenue to get the school
well,
involved too.
and we do have a welding program back on
Yeah.
the FFA and the ag thing. And I think maybe Rick Smith is also kicking part of the stuff. So I guess it would really entail how many of these you were going to be doing before you had somebody locally say, yeah, we'll do it. So, but I think there are avenues that way, at least to make the template.
Yeah. Awesome.
Next on the agenda is Lake County Fair 100th anniversary. That must be you two.
It's us too. I'm Tilly Flynn, and I'm a member of the Lake County Fair Board. And as I think probably most of you know, not this year, but next year, 2019, we'll be celebrating 100 years for the Lake County Roundup and Fair. So we're trying to get an early start on it to make it a big deal, because obviously it is a big deal. 100 years, most rodeos are not lasting that long. We do that. Small-time rodeos are still in existence, and we're pretty proud of that. And our fair is just continuing to grow, and we want to keep it healthy too. So what we're here to ask you today, we're here early because we know we've got about a year and a half, not quite, is if you would consider to maybe make the purchase. I know that we're county owned, and trust me, we're looking at every avenue we have available to us. There's many things that we're kind of kicking around at this point, along with the Fair Association and the Roundup, and how we're going to generate some dollars to kind of doll things up that year and make it a special year and not just a regular same old, same old. But we were hoping that you folks would take under consideration purchasing some town flags that you could run through next summer, starting maybe in July. You have a trade changeover, I can't remember, right after Irish Days, you switch, whatever, I don't remember exactly how it goes. But if you would have a special flag, like that one up there, but instead would be touting the 100th year celebration of the Lake County Fair and Roundup. Because we're pretty proud of it, and we're all here together, and it all happens with all of us. So we're trying to bring the whole community together and support this, and as well as North Lake and Paisley. We're working with those folks as well to bring something to the party.
Probably a good thing to come early.
Well, it takes time, you've got your budgets to plan, and they don't, I was on the original committee of that, and, they're not cheap, it costs money, so if you are willing to that, no matter how you can do it. We've checked with ODOT about putting banners across the highway, and they actually have said we can.
Really?
Wow. Yeah, and they used, for years, I bet probably for 15 to 20 years I dealt with them, they were adamant, absolutely not.
Pardon? Did you guys get it drunk first?
Sharon?
What? No, it's actually just via phone call. That's pretty
So,
nice because they're not.
to possibly put that, I know those are really expensive, but to possibly put that in your, as you look into it, if it's something you're interested in, to maybe to look at that as well, because if we could have one, ideally it'd be great if you had 3 each entrance into town, but shoot, I'd be thrilled if you did one. But they did say yes. So there is some specifications to the size and whatnot of it, but once you get to that point of deciding, we can help you get that information if you would like.
Because there's height, isn't there height specification?
Yeah.
But that has to do with how far off the ground it is and that type of thing.
Yeah.
Now, are you wanting the ones like this, or do you want ones that go across the highway?
Both or
Both. This is a big deal, 100 years, I don't think I'll be around for the next one, so I'm thinking we gotta go whole hog this year.
So how many locations are there in between hangouts?
Is there like
23.
23?
So
That's a lot for that, but we wouldn't have.
It could be interspersed.
You could do like every other one, or every
I'm
third
just
one.
curious if there's any way we can do like, not fundraising, but maybe, just, a sponsorship or something, maybe a business logo or something that sponsor, partnership kind of thing. Because what are we gonna do with it after we're done with it?
Well,
We could auction them off, or we could give them,
You could auction them off.
I think there should be a couple things we ought to look at that maybe we could, if there's nothing wrong with it, I would be willing to bet there'd be business owners who would say, I'll sponsor one of those, I'll sponsor one of those, or a bunch more.
That would be definitely, maybe you might want to check out.
Yeah.
And maybe post them down at the fairgrounds and keep them there all the time so that.
Well, I think that
Order them quick.
even afterwards, if you say 100th year celebration, and put, 18, whatever it would be, 1819 to 1919, to me, they don't run out. I mean, like, maybe they're still not newsworthy after next year, but it's still the fact that you have a rodeo that's ongoing in the Slave Day weekend and a fair. I mean, that's still going to be pretty impressive, even when we're 103 years old.
We just put a number over that last evening.
Well, we just celebrate 100th year anniversary and put the year of 2019, and that just tells you, it's just like a business when they say, we've celebrated our 100th year, they don't keep necessarily by.
If we could figure a way to make it something that you can continue to use, then it's worth this kind of thing. If it's just for that 1 year shot,
Right.
then I think there are a lot of avenues where you can get something like that made to your size specifications. It would be a lot less expensive.
Well, kind of what I'm looking at is this is something that you all would take on. We have
We got that.
a lot of projects going that we're trying to take on with beautifications and changes down at the fairgrounds.
Poles to put this kind
Right.
of already up, because stringing across the street could cause, I don't know how we do that.
Do they have a
Maybe
less
you have an
expensive?
Oh, we
idea.
used to do it. They were here when I
Do they
first
have a
came
less
to town.
expensive version of
The
that?
state highway told us we had to stop using that.
I know, they did that years ago,
Yeah.
after I was in
That-
the
I
chamber.
think
But
that
then now
still
come back in
exists.
and said, yeah, we can.
Oh, yeah.
And if you notice, they have Paisley's goes up over the highway, in Merrill, they go up to Lake, that's California. So they may have changed a little bit of their attitude about it.
Yeah.
Well, we started them in when did you put the poles up?
That was when Arlene was mayor, wasn't it?
2001.
So that's been, back in
So
2002.
they're built to last that long, and if we're not gonna use it every year, then I'm thinking we could find something that would be well designed, but could be made out of a different kind of, material, screened on it. And we have all those banners that we do all the time, and they're pretty sturdy.
Yeah.
So
They look great. I really
less
like it.
expensive. But we're not telling you we're gonna do that yet.
That's why we're here early, is to give you a chance to kind of think about it and maybe do a little research on the cost and see if it is feasible, and if maybe you would want to put up try to get the community to sponsor one or buy or
We could
whatever.
probably use some of that lodging tax around this tourism.
Yeah. we could.
But we're just trying to get all the communities in the county to participate in some form.
That's nice that you're asking our,
Yeah, like that takes time to plan.
That's a great idea.
I'm already worried we're kind of a little late. We have a lot of things we want to get
Have you
done.
considered like using the theme that's adopted?
Really the theme is it's 100th year anniversary is what they're going with. And I know that the
That would be
random,
like the picture of the.
well, I mean like a logo type of thing. They're
Just pass
talking.
with a contest or something. and-
Well, the Fair Association, they have their own theme and logo for the fair, but I think we're going to try to keep it consistent with the Roundup. It's just a 100th year celebration. The Roundup itself has decided that they will not be naming a grand marshal that year, nor will they name a president, because they feel like everybody, because it takes the community, it takes all of them to make this happen all these years. Everybody shows up and does their job, so it's kind of, we want to keep it pretty simple and just that this is us.
Great idea.
So, if you have any questions, give me a call, or Ronnie. Be happy to come back in any way that we can help you. Obviously, we will. Thank you.
Wasn't it called the Lakeview Railroad Jubilee way back when?
Okay, at one point it probably
Yeah,
was.
we had it at the office still. My grandfather was the first rodeo club. Site
From
work.
there to
We have
staff.
all that at the office. If you want to buy and take a look.
Resolution 927, in the matter of surplus property, we have 3 tasers. Huh? I'm sorry.
So turn your phone back on, so we can call you.
I was just saying there's 5 of them, so that's
Roberta, you can come up with 2 more.
We need to defend ourselves.
Well, we can go every other one. We can take turns.
What's the resolution number, sorry?
927.
Obviously, yes.
Okay, I would move we approve resolution 927 in the matter of surplus property.
Will you second?
I'll second.
Motion made and second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Judy, correct.
I didn't see a comment here for the council or the mayor, so that was, we'll just go right on past that. Last thing, we can close the regular session at 4:46, and we will go into